My Therapist Says, or rather the ladies behind that account. My Therapist Says is one of the world's biggest meme accounts on Instagram. And yet behind the laughs, there's actually a mental health angle to the feed. And a brand of humor that's so relatable, you'll wonder how Nicole and Lola got into your head. It's no surprise these women are referred to as the meme queens. Known for curating and creating some of social media's most hilarious, timely, and topical content for which they've amassed over 3 million followers, these Shorty Award-nominated millennial mavens have been featured in Vogue, Elle, Cosmopolitan, and now they're here with us. Nicole Argyris and Lola Tash will be interviewed by Chris Breikss. He's the founding partner and president of Major Tom, the agency formerly known as Success Marketing and Drive Digital, with offices in New York, Toronto, and Vancouver. This session is presented to us today by Major Tom. Please join me in welcoming Chris, Lola, and Nicole.
Well, we just met recently, but I've been following your account for a while, My Therapist Says, and you have 3 bazillion followers on Instagram, I understand?
3.1 million, but essentially yes. That's amazing.
And how long ago did you start?
2.5 years ago.
Okay. And what was your motivation to start it? I understand you were friends, and then how did that all transpire?
So I was traveling and we were trying to keep in touch with each other, and we were creating memes about our personal lives, like dates that I was going on, or relationships that she was going through, and our way of keeping in touch with each other was creating these like horrible memes based on our lives and about our therapists. And then we're like, this would be really funny to create an account on, and within a week we started creating original content, and one of the big accounts reposted us, and I've been fat Jewish.
Fat Jewish, and then we grew like exponentially from that, because he tagged us in the caption, and then everyone just started tagging their friends, and their friends, and
It was like 5,000, 50,000, and
that's the beauty of meme accounts, because once you get one follower, you basically get all of their friends in the comments.
I once went as the fat Jewish for Halloween.
How?
I feel like that's a difficult Halloween costume with the hair situation.
If those of you that know him, he's got a bit of a man pun thing going up here.
Is it like a braid that stands straight up?
A lot of hairspray.
Yeah, I also went to his dog's birthday party. Rest in peace, Toast meets World. But back to you.
No. Back to you.
Back to Toast.
So you got started through relationship advice, and then talking about what your therapist was communicating with you.
No, talking about what our therapist communicated with us that we didn't adhere to. We were like,
We're
our
not
therapist
listening.
said this. We were validating that advice based on what our therapist wasn't saying, but we were saying like, oh, my therapist says, and our therapist was like, no, I didn't. That absolutely did not happen.
It was basically like an extension of our like daily FaceTime chats, because Lola was in LA and I was in Toronto, so it was more of like a way to stay in touch.
So when you got started, how did you manage it? Was there a strategy? Were you using technology to help support it?
When we first started, there wasn't a specific like business strategy, because we started it really for fun, for
Hobby.
like an outlet for us, basically. And then when we hit about 100,000 followers, that's when we really started to think of it more as a business. We started monetizing it, beginning at 100K.
And we started really being conscientious of what we posted, because we knew we had a responsibility, because we had the word therapy in our name. So, I mean, even at the beginning, it was an outlet for our anxieties, to like expand upon what Nicole said. It was an outlet for our fears, for our like horrible mistakes, for our bad dates, for every memory that we have. We chronicled it for a really funny meme.
At what point were you like, holy shit, we can make a living in this?
500,000 followers.
I think even before, because we started, as soon as we started monetizing, and then we saw like bigger accounts, like what they were doing, we realized that you can make an entire business out of it. Because like we saw what Fat Jewish was doing, he was creating his book and everything. We realized that you can really expand.
So you went from about 100,000 followers to like 2 million in a
Yeah.
very short period of time.
Within a year, like, we went from our original incubation to 1 million followers. And it was like one of the fastest growing accounts, I think, in Instagram history.
How did you do that? I mean, a lot of people here are like, oh my gosh, I want to start a meme account to add to the 10,000.
Make
so
poor decisions. No.
We were basically already making memes in our group chat to each other, like sending each other funny photos and being like, so this is what happened last night, and like creating it about our friends and like our ex-boyfriends. So
Our ex-best friends. Yeah, essentially we're just living our life and trying to honestly portray that with the humor that we were talking and keep the authentic voice and tone that we had started with, which is two girls who do not know what they're doing. We're trying to mitigate the 20s with as much success and grace as we can. It's a relative term, as you will tell by our Monday memes with Susan, our Saturday memes with a bit of alcohol.
Sunday memes with regret.
I like the Susan ones. Those ones really seem to resonate with me. I'm like, I'm Susan.
Nicole's Susan to me.
We all have a Susan in our life.
Sorry to go back to this, but you grew from 100,000 followers on your account to 2 million. Did you have to pay for any of those, or was that all organic growth?
Never. That's something we're really adamant about. We would never want to buy followers, because there's no point. You can tell by the engagement, you can tell by the comments, and you can tell by the likes whether it adds up. And you can see the big accounts that have like 10 million followers and 100 likes. You're like, who are you fooling?
We see you.
Right. And how much have you integrated your own personalities and brand into the account?
Initially, we didn't at all because we were anonymous for the first year. And once we hit, I think, 2 million followers, we decided that we wanted to reveal who we are through our Cosmopolitan article. And yeah, it seemed like the right decision at that time, because everyone was asking us for advice and like they wanted more than
Just a blank slate.
yeah. They felt like they were talking to like a robot or.
So the Cosmopolitan article, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, really helped propel yourselves into the limelight and introduce your personalities to the brand for the first time. As you said previously, it was anonymous. And the pictures are great. The after party is there tonight. Will you be stopping by?
Absolutely. We're going to show you
For sure.
why these memes are the way they are.
You're going to recreate some of the photos in the diner?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to talk about the subject of mental health and how that, the account grew from a fun account started on a whim between the two of you, grew into something that you can make money from. Now it's addressing a very real world issue. Can you talk about that a bit?
I mean, that's what I think differentiates us from other meme accounts, is that we have a responsibility to say something honest and to say something funny, but to make sure it's not offensive, it's not cruel, it's not mean. Because, we ourselves have suffered through trials and tribulations of mental health, and I think we're still dealing with it.
And I think the more we talk about it, the more the stigma is eliminated, because it was, I feel like 5 years ago, and still probably to this day,
Yeah.
it was very taboo.
I mean, therapy is a really insulated thing. Like, if you think about it, people, like, in mass America aren't like, oh, I'm going to call my therapist. You're still thinking about it as New York, LA, Chicago, the really metropolitan cities in which therapy is normalized.
And
So we're trying to make
followers that are like Midwest.
Yeah.
And
we're trying to normalize the conversation around that.
So where are your followers from, do you find?
Our top 3 cities are New York, LA, and
Toronto.
Toronto, Chicago.
Yeah, the really metropolitan cities, as we were saying. So we're trying to expand above that. And a lot of,
Right. Are you big in Japan?
not quite yet.
Not yet.
Expanding.
In terms of creating the content, is that still the two of you on an ongoing basis? And what does that process look like between curated content or repurposed content? I think Kyle in my office, there he is in the front row, we were going through your account the other day, and he's like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen any of these memes before. It seems like it's all original content. Or mostly.
Yeah, I would say it's about 80% original content, and then
Source content.
yeah. I mean, we always try to credit wherever we can. Like, we'll go out of our way to like search it up on Twitter and see if someone has said it on there. Like reverse Google image search. We have in our bio credit us. Like if you see your photo of me, we want to credit you. But we try to keep it as original as possible, because we think it's important to stay true to our voice and
I mean,
our
we've talked about the
demographic.
process before, which is essentially on Sunday, we allot, 3 to 4 hours every Sunday to creating original content that we disperse throughout the week, and we disperse it with aggregated content and advertisement content, which is a lot of our stuff now. Like we're working with like Netflix or Amazon or Warner Brothers or Sony, so we have to make it look organic within our actual timeline. So we really dedicate the amount of time to making sure that that's prevalent. Our voice is still prevalent throughout the advertisements, throughout the source content, and throughout the the stories, anything.
And it's really a collaborative process between the two of us. Like we'll, just save like 50 photos or something from the week and then like come up with brainstorm captions.
Spit on really aggressive captions at each other. Like freely hungover.
Sometimes
That's funny.
We also use like our daily life situations and meme that as well. Sometimes it's a little awkward when people are like, is that meme about me? And you're like,
the worst when you start dating someone, it's like, oh, did you post that about me? It's like, no. And Nicole posts it, and I'm like, how do you read my mind and ruin my dating life?
That's amazing, and I think that we'll look at a couple of examples here in a moment, but when do you know that you have a great post?
Within 2 minutes, Nicole has this like really scary strategic timeline. Within 2 minutes, she knows whether to delete it or not.
well, I think you have to learn this skill because of the Instagram algorithm. It's changed a lot. Like before, we thought, you could tell before you post if a post is going to do well or not. But now you can't really tell until it's after it's posted and you see the likes.
And the algorithm is constantly changing, but don't worry, she still manages to call me and tell me I'm doing a bad job.
Now, when something
I
really...
definitely am her Susan.
You run Susan, yeah.
Carol.
When something's really going off, what's the benchmark? Is it the number of likes or in a short period of time, or when you know that this piece is about to be something big?
Likes and comments.
Yeah.
In the first few minutes, hours?
30 seconds, I can tell.
Really? Wow. Now, what about when something doesn't go well or you miss the mark? And then how do you moderate that? Do you delete any posts that...
We contemplate our existence.
No, we do delete some posts, but for the most part, I think we have a keen sense of what does well and what doesn't. I think there's certain, it's almost like a recipe for a really successful meme. It's like I have to have a cute dog or baby, or it has to be relatable. There's certain aspects that make, I think, a really successful.
We're acutely aware of what our audience would want.
Right. But I imagine that sometimes dealing with mental health and mental illness, someone may call you out and say, hey, that's not funny.
Numerous times. We try very hard to be as conscious as possible of everything we post and really check through it thoroughly, making sure it'll offend nobody. But we'll slip through the cracks, and every now and then, and somebody will message us and be like, oh, you're such horrible people, I hope you die. And we're like, oh.
Yeah, you must have, thick skins to be able to deal with that on an ongoing basis.
I keep calling her that. I'm getting cyberbullied nonstop.
Haters are motivators.
I used to block them, but now I'm unblocking them. I'm like, go ahead, more comments.
Let's have a look at some examples. Do you mind walking us through a few of your favorites up here?
Sure. Just walk you through our whole slideshow, which starts at our demographic and our breakdown. And the brands
These are some of our collaborations and
the big Tinder right there for all of you swiping.
Yeah, everybody wants to know what you did with Tinder.
Well,
other than use the
found
app.
myself a man's. Just kidding, I actually didn't. So with Tinder, we created their viral memes for a year.
Yeah.
Viral content. We were overseeing that, and that was really fun because they're very collaborative and they're very open to just fun little memes. And we get the blood going.
It's a pretty seamless collaboration because our audience really resonates with them.
Skip over this meme because it's one of my favorites. So this is one of our original memes that had the most likes because Shia LaBeouf likes fears. Going through when first essentially.
Barely brushing our hair now.
When you spend your entire night. Oh, okay, so this was me this weekend. I can relate to this one to this day. And this was 2 years
This is us making memes at a party instead of socializing.
And our boyfriends can attest to this. When you find out your ex is going to be there,
That's a big part of memeing is watching the Golden Globes or Oscars or any like live big events and live memeing it.
And
because
being honest with yourself. That was like last night.
every 5 seconds with us.
Yeah.
That's us on a day-to-day.
Oh, that's us this morning. I just flew in.
That's our most liked meme.
The most ever.
We posted it during the Oscars, a live meme, and found this amazing shot of Chrissy Teigen, and she liked it.
Yeah, Chrissy Teigen, do any of the celebrities that are included in your memes reach out or comment
Constantly.
or engage? Yeah.
So now we say like we're best friends with January Jones, but you know she's maybe acknowledged us a handful of times.
She's liked our
I'm
post a
gonna
few
call
times.
Jan.
My girl Jan.
So this was not our best meme because it's a little scary to guys we're dating, but it was our best meme in regards to engagement.
This one did really well as well. We posted it live. during
Especially the caption was really good. Fuck it, I'm over playing hard to get.
Just gotta be obvious on a first date.
Okay, this one is like a personal.
This was one of the first
Infuriation.
memes we actually ever made.
Oh, that's us tonight. Just I want you guys to know.
A New Year's Eve meme that is very.
We're not playing.
Okay, so now we're getting into the
Pain
brand
These are what we do
collaboration.
for branded content. This is what we did for a helicopter ride to Coachella. No, just kidding. Essentially. But so we worked with a helicopter company to.
Called Blade.
This is for The Bachelor.
This meme did really well because we have a lot of Bachelor and Bachelor.
Every girl knows what I'm talking about.
Now, not to make a joke about the California fires, but I'm going to. How do you feel about the Bachelor mansion burning down?
Nicole,
Wait,
we
it
spent 2
burned
days
down?
mourning you guys.
That might be a rumor, but.
Oh my God,
I think
end of
that
the world.
it was affected.
Caitlyn Jenner's house burned down. That was the first thing I got told. So if anyone wants to know where my friends' priorities are at, Caitlyn Jenner's house.
Okay, I do this all the time with my current boyfriend, go through all of his likes.
Shout out.
This one was a collaboration with a hotel in New York during Fashion Week.
And that's my sister, and we didn't position her like that. We
We
found her
found
like that. Okay, so that was me this weekend. You can't accuse me, it's true. So these are mental health memes that we've tried to incorporate that are funny, but also raising awareness on our cause and subject that we're so passionate about. Crazy town in here.
Mental health memes, I think, are really important because people who are suffering get to see that, 80,000 people also are feeling this way or commenting on it, and they don't feel like they're so alone, and that really helps
And I think one
eliminate
of
the
the
stigma.
best things about my therapist says community is that people find affinity in the followers, in the comments, they make friends, and they've actually reached out to us being like, thank you so much for introducing me to these people. And we're like, thank you for following us and encouraging other people to talk about this and open up the conversation and keep it going and, finally remove this ridiculous taboo shield that like mental health is like ridiculous. Like everyone has anxieties. Like some people, when they walk on stage, they're like, I can't do this, like literally me right now. But the fact that we're normalizing it and we're talking about it and we're okay being the faces of it as long as it opens up the conversation for people who maybe aren't brave enough to do that at this moment.
I think we have a huge responsibility with our followers to eliminate the stigma.
And I think that you do, while keeping it edgy as well, and funny, and seeing humor.
We've never heard that. No one has ever called us edgy. Thank you so much.
I love that. Usually we're probably
We tried really hard. We're like, oh yeah, you like that? And they're like, no, that's not what
Stop
me.
Well, I guess that's gotta be hard too, because sometimes you're producing content for brands, sometimes it's for your own channel. Do you struggle with with being creative versus, how far a brand is willing to push a joke or comment about mental health?
I think most of the brands that we work with are pretty open to everything. Yeah. And we just stay true to ourselves. Like we're not that wild. So
And essentially every brand, like no matter how far they want to push the envelope, are very tame because it's still an advertising campaign. It still has to be targeted to a mass demographic, so it still has to be relatable to a mass body of people. Okay, so this is just like so relatable. We didn't make this, evidently.
Can you explain that for a second?
We kept the name in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that was pretty much self-explanatory.
Shall I continue? Well, some kids get through.
Me too.
Me too.
don't we all?
Okay, so this.
I think this is the last example as well. Joe in the control room, I think that's the last example we're going to look at. Anyway, round of applause. Thank you very much for We're not done yet. We're going to have a question and answer period in a moment, but we have a few things that we wanted to get to first. It sounds like, Nicole, you're a bit more of the data nerd, if I might dare say that, in terms of the measurement and analytics. But clearly it's not just the two of you on the team. I read your intern's post this week.
She's a wild one. Let's just say that.
She is a wild one, absolutely. And then I know that you must have people that help you out with sales and billing and accounts
We've
receivable.
now expanded the team, yeah. There's like 12 people on the team, 12. There's 12 people that we have working on our team that are half interns, half people who actually work for us, half family members.
Most of them family members.
Yeah, I'm
willing employees.
I think your family members are backstage, but or in the audience here. I worked with my dad for a bit. That was challenging. What's it like working with family?
We have like our little, group chat, arguments, but
It's just full of discouragement, disappointment, and then finally the conclusion.
And I won't put you on the spot anymore, but I will ask you about marriage. I mean, I imagine that down the road.
What? You won't put us on the spot. You're gonna ask
I
us
did
about
not see that
marriage.
coming.
Okay, continue, please.
Well, you're both in your mid-20s, and I imagine that family's putting some pressure.
I'm gonna throw myself off the nearest building.
Well, that might get some attention for social media week.
Anything for the likes, y'all.
But what I'm getting at indirectly is, will the account evolve, do you think, as the two of you evolve?
We're hoping it's kind of evolving naturally. The progression of things is getting into the 30s, so how much more can we really degrade ourselves?
Our demographic when we first started was much younger, and now you can see it literally growing up with us.
So we're in our early to mid-20s. Early.
Closer to 30 than 20, I think.
Don't round up. Don't round up.
Just
Me
math.
too.
It's just basic math.
Getting hot in here.
No, do you think? What I'm also getting at is, how is the account going to evolve as Instagram evolves, IGTV, streaming? What do you see as the evolution? I hate saying what comes next,
Yeah,
but
no,
what
I
comes
understand the
next?
question. So we have a book coming out that's a satire nonfiction chronicling my therapist says and the family's advice. We have a TV show in the works, and we have a clothing line in the works.
And a podcast as well.
Yeah, that one's more on the back burner as we are focusing on like the main three, but yeah, that's definitely on the horizon.
Can you elaborate on any of those, or are you under NDA?
Well, if you want to know what our podcast is going to be like, it's very similar to this, but
It's
a
gonna
lot
be
sadder.
us giving unqualified, unwarranted advice, pretty much.
Well, and the TV show, I mean, there was a TV show about shit my dad says at one point. They didn't quite get it right. What's your show going to be like?
It's going to be, well, we're not allowed to talk about it, but it's not what you think it is, and it's more similar to like a Friends aspect as opposed to like a reality TV show format.
It's more, it's more scripted. Initially, when we came out, not like that, when we revealed our personalities, we were approached by many people for a reality TV show, and that just kind of wasn't the avenue we wanted to go.
Yeah, you can't imagine us in a reality TV show because, like I said, it would just be traumatizing. I think for us and for people watching, mainly our families.
I would totally watch that. It would be great. You guys
It
are
would be
hilarious.
like a hot mess.
You're also on Snapchat. What's happening with Snap?
We're not actually on top, we just use the filters and then we apply them to the Instagram story.
We're mostly
Like the true
using
narcissists that we are.
Instagram needs to step up with their filters, but we're bringing stuff from Snapchat onto Instagram story because we find that that's where most of our followers are. Like it was hard to bring them over to Snapchat, and it's easier to just keep it all on Instagram.
It's called incorporating two businesses.
Right. And you have a few other meme accounts as well. Are you focusing on the growth of those?
My bestie says and my style says, which are almost like baby hobby accounts. My bestie says is what we can't really post on my therapist says.
Yeah.
And my style says is something that we get out of our CD. It's all color coordinated and
It's more
it's
like
less
an
than-
aesthetic
Yeah.
account.
Like when I'm feeling really anxious, I just go on my bestie and my style says and I start like, chronicling these like blue posts or pink posts, and it's all perfect rainbow for 2 years.
Sometimes we add in a little funny caption here and there, but it's mostly like,
Oh yeah, and the captions are all, quotes from poets or authors or, historic figures. It's just things that people can escape.
it's more like an outlet for us, I think, than anything.
We're the biggest fans of myself.
Yeah.
What about streaming content? Do you think that you would do like something on Twitch or another platform?
We do a lot of lives right now, like on Instagram Live, but I don't know, I don't really see us on...
We're more into creating the content, into the background process, the writing, the producing, the
Yeah.
directing.
Then
So I
the
find that
lives.
that's more the avenues that we're focusing on right now. But I mean, we've never ruled anything out, but reality TV is definitely not something that we're gravitating towards.
Okay. I think we wanted to take a couple of questions from the audience, and I'm sure that there's a number here. I think that there were a couple of mics that might come up this door here. And just while we're setting up for that, is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to tell us about?
Is there anything that you want to know about?
Absolutely. So I think there's a mic coming down the center here. Put up your hand, and I'll try and call it. There's a lady in the middle row here. Perfect.
Both of us are blind.
Hi.
Here we go.
Hi.
What would you say is like the number one base learning you guys have like learned through this whole process? Like, what's the biggest takeaway?
When we started, I think it was a really male-dominated industry. The community was a bunch of guys, and I think we even got a little bit of like bad messages from them in the beginning. But it was really nice because we sort of managed to, I hate to use this word again, but mitigate that that sort of environment and make friends with these people and have them become allies as opposed to foes, which they shouldn't have been in the beginning. But that was probably the biggest base learning how to manage a male-dominated industry.
Oh my god, I used to get so angry at the beginning, but we just kind of like learned to just let it go.
Did we learn to let it go, Nikki?
Okay, I still get a little angry, but we watermark some of our memes that we think are going to get stolen to try to mitigate that. But yeah, I definitely hunted you people down.
Please don't use that word. But yes, that's to answer your question.
Hi. If it was two guys, would you still have asked them question about marriage?
Slay,
Oh.
slay.
Offended by that.
She's invited to the after party.
I love it.
Well, first, did not mean to offend you. At the same time, I am married. I would probably, I don't know, I think I would probably still ask the question because the accounts are very much about relationships, and it's, I would say, a third, if not a half of the trials and tribulations of finding a mate, and it does seem like the end goal of that would be to, in today's society, probably end up in a long-term relationship and get married. So that's, I think that if it was a couple of males who were talking about their dating lives and their desire to find true love, then I probably would ask that. But fair enough. I gotcha. I also made a joke about the California wildfires, so I thought that was far more offensive.
I leave that topic to somebody else to get over.
Yes! Next one. Let's go, guys.
And there's a microphone floating around. If you could pass it forward to this person in the third row here. And if you have questions, put up your hand nice and high so that, what's your name, sir? And, sorry? Andreas. So Andreas can come and see you with the microphone. He said, you're not going to make me speak, are you? And I'm sorry, Andreas, I made you speak.
Hi, I just want to thank you guys for coming to speak. It's really cool to hear from the voices behind a meme account. Just had a question, like the process you guys said when you make your memes. If you think of like a funny caption or something to say, where do you source that photo from? Like, how do you find the perfect like photo to go with how you're feeling?
Literally anything, a TV show, a
Yeah.
show,
We
bad
basically
photos,
have
yeah.
like a file on our phones where we are like constantly saving pictures, GIFs, and we just kind of go search through that and based on what we're feeling.
Hi again.
Hi.
I have a question about sourcing photos, so kind of building on that. Essentially, you're using like other people's photos. How do you guys kind of get away with that? And have you ever been like sued for using someone else's photo, or have you ever been asked to take something down?
Absolutely.
We've been asked to take something down, and that's why we have in our bio
Credit and emailing us.
DM us for credit, because it's so hard to find the origin of every single photo, but we still want to
And
post
it's not really
memes.
getting away with it. A lot of the photos are public property. They're from TV shows, they're stock images, they're from work
I'd
shows.
say
I
like
think they know they're not going in
80%
their bedroom to like hide from people. And most celebrities, and honest to God, like want to be mean. Like
Yeah,
they go
I-
out of their way. to
sometimes
be
I
mean.
feel like Chrissy Teigen like purposely does
John
those
Mayer's favorite
faces
thing to
because
do.
she wants to be mean.
Hi, you had addressed earlier haters, and I'm sure, unfortunately, as many, despite the nature of the fact that you are huge on social media. But how do you engage with them?
Oh my God, that's my favorite thing to do.
Do you'll address them, you'll respond to their
Not to
vicious
every
comments, or?
Not to every single one,
really
because that's
cool.
really too hard, because there are a lot of them. But we'll respond to them sometimes, but we don't really let it get to us.
No, yeah, we make it funny. We're like, really, is that what you think? Tell me more. And then they do. And then they do.
And will you continue to engage with them, or will
It
you
depends how much
cut it
free
off?
time we have, honestly. If I'm like in the car and I'm on my like 2-hour ride, yeah, of course I'll respond. Like, come on, bring me more.
In the yellow in the middle of the audience, I think that's a question.
So you guys kind of went over like you get paid to post at times from different brands or companies. How did you navigate what you deserve to get paid? It's a question I get like all the time from influencers.
That was really difficult at the beginning, but a great thing for us was we were part of this group chat.
The meme cartel.
The meme cartel with a bunch of other memers, and we all kind of like discussed
Open
prices
salary.
and yeah, that really helped us navigate. And we would be like, oh, this company was willing to pay this, you deserve this.
And also, it was the amount of work we were doing, whether we were making like 10 memes for like, a span of 6 months, or we were making like 16 memes for a span of a year. Like, it really depended on how much work you're putting into it and how overt the content is. A lot of people don't know this, but if the content is extremely overt, like we're going to charge more because that's putting our rating down. But if the content's more organic and it's something that you would naturally find on our page, then we're going to charge at the organic price.
But we try to stay away as much as possible from the more overt memes because we don't want to alienate our demographic. They don't want to see like, a fit tea ad on our Instagram.
Yeah, no, we
say-
reject like 70%
Yeah.
of the offers that we get. We're very selective about what we choose to work with because we wanted to say something and we want to believe in it.
By overt, we mean like when they can tell it's an ad.
Do you have representation that handles that?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And their agents that you pay a commission of?
We have a management in LA, yeah.
There's a question in the front and another one by a gentleman over here.
This is great. Can you talk a little more about your recipe for a meme, like what that is?
I would say it has to for sure be relatable. Like I said, you know, cute pictures of like dogs or babies, those do great. Another thing is when people find that like they didn't realize that so many other people are also feeling that way, they get that like, oh my god, I thought I was the only one.
Self-deprecating memes really.
Yeah, self-deprecating memes. Yeah, I would say that's pretty much.
Nobody wants to like a meme being like, wow, it's so hard being hot. But everyone's gonna like the meme being like, oh wow, when you wake up looking like a potato. You're like, I'm pretty, but I'm a potato.
I can relate to that.
Hi.
You seem to have like a great split between what, like when you have the Susan content, but you also have the meaningful content, the mental health. Do you actively think we need to make sure there's at least one mental health post each month? And how long do you sit on those before you post them to make sure they're not, you always say you tread carefully, and how long do you vet those for before you post them?
Probably we discuss it with each other on Sunday, like I mentioned, and then we'll see when it will go best. It just really depends on how heavy the week is with like content that's maybe like a little more, you know, light, yeah, and a little more advertisement heavy. So then we're like, okay, well, you know, remember why we started this? Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to our roots, and let's just put that out there.
I'd say we have like at least a few every week.
It's integral. It's our voice. It's my therapist says, you know.
Okay, it looks like we've come to the end of the questions. I have one question myself to close things off. If somebody, like a friend, wanted to become an Instagram star, what advice would you give them and in today's landscape, which is a little bit different than when you started a few years ago?
So much harder.
Yeah.
Maybe just like be really like organic and honest. Because
True
we
to
found meme
yourself.
accounts that like are just growing now. They've already had 70,000 followers within a month because they have such funny original content. And we're like liking all of it. And they message us being like, do you think we're gonna get reposted on your account? And we're like, absolutely, because you're creating something that even in our like 3 or 2 years in this industry we haven't seen. Like it's so exciting. Like everyone has a story to tell.
Stay as original as possible,
Yeah.
as raw and as honest, and I think you'll do great.
Yeah, because no one's gonna tell your story, and I think that's imperative that you tell your story, and people are gonna find affinity in that.
Well, thank you very much. Big round of applause for Lola and